This is WOMM-LP operating out Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. Good evening. It is The Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proctor, and with me tonight is Cricket Blue. Hello, guys.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having us.
Hello.
Thank you for coming in. Good to have you back, actually. It's been
a very, very long time.
Very long time. Very interested to hear what you've been getting up to in this interim period. We do like starting with the song, though, so what have you got for us?
Absolutely. We do have some stuff that we've written in the interim period, but we're going to play an old song to start out with. This is called No Carpenter. Out in your backyard, about a month before this flood, we stumbled on things tossed away, sunk and defunct in the mud. You took a little box, burned or caked with grime, didn't know what to put it in, to make it peel, reveal its undershine, or know what to put in it, what it could safely hold. My best friend, for you I am trying to get everything said and told. To say, though your flare from the shore fills the ocean with shadows, I'm too fixed on the moon to climb away clear of the tide, far nearer than that sky. Your eyes are plainly led where even lines and parallel converge somewhere up ahead. Am I walking too quick? Weighed by no carpenter's load, I can't build a home, though I can pave a road. Late in the rainy season, I wandered back to where you dug in your heels and asked for my plans for our frame and foundation, as if I knew, though I didn't tell you anything untrue. Still, I am saying I lied. Here there is a box, hollow on the floor, my fierce revelation. I'm trying to want what I wanted before. There's a roof over you, there's nothing of mine in your drawer, and I promise I'm glad for the light that shines under your door.
All right, Cricket Blue there. Starting us out with No Carpenter from their debut album. So yeah, that's been a minute. So the debut album came out in 2019, and I'm going to butcher the name of the album here. I'm dyslexic as
Tom,
hell. So
it's fine. It's not a real word.
there's too many N's and A's in it, and my tongue trips over itself.
We say
Serotinalia.
Serotinalia.
Sometimes Taylor says Serotinalia.
I do, and then Laura makes fun of me because it sounds pretentious.
Serotinalia.
That's what makes it pretentious.
So No Carpenter was from that 2019 album of yours, which got phenomenal reception from what I saw when it came out. But yeah, 2019, there was obviously, a couple of things have happened in the interim that I'm sure probably put
One or
brakes
two
on a few things. But tell us a little bit between, last coming on, I think, in 2018 and now.
Sure. Well, I mean, for us, as for every musician in the world, 2020 sort of caused a big stoppage in a lot of what we normally do. I'll talk while you change that string. Laura's had a little
You've
bit
got
of
about 10 minutes before I ask you to do another song. So
Fantastic.
sure
and
that's enough
I
time
have
to
strings in my case if you need some.
restring.
Well, but in any case, yes. So COVID happened, right? And we stopped playing shows because there were no shows to be played. I guess we did do some of that live stream thing that the world tried to replace concerts with for a little bit.
Didn't really have the same effect, you know. It didn't really grab me in the
It did
same
not
way.
quite. I think both for audiences and for performers, that did not really fill the hole in all of our collective experiences. But it was a time that Laura especially. I was a little bit lazier, but Laura took that time to write an enormous amount of new material. I've sort of in the last year or so been trying to catch up to her output in order to have a somewhat balanced representation on the album that we're going to record next.
It's funny because it feels like, having done a few interviews, as we start getting back into spaces together, artists kind of went one of two ways. Either like, okay, this is a fantastic break for me, I can just kind of step away and do my own thing for a while. Or they're like, all right, I'm going to lock myself in a room and write day and night until we're all allowed outside again. So it's interesting that you two went in the two opposite directions.
We did.
As a group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful that one of us was productive during that time, I guess.
How did it feel for you? I mean, as I said, the debut album came out, and NPR covering it. I think Pace Magazine covered it. Great reception locally and nationally. So yeah, what was the feeling going into 2020? COVID hit. Was it like, okay, all our dreams are up in smoke? This is useless.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of a sense of interrupted momentum or something like that. I mean, it was very gratifying that so many people said so many kind things about the album, and it was. The people who write about music professionally said nice things about it, but also just people that we met at shows would come up to us and tell us how much it had meant to them, or that songs had really resonated with them. So we were very excited about the batch of songs. We were very excited to keep playing it out and touring it, and then we had to stop. So there was a little bit of that feeling. I guess I'm grateful that we got the album recorded and out into the world before the world stopped, because at least it was out there doing its own thing, walking on its own, as it were, even while I was watching Netflix or whatever.
And Laura was writing all the songs for your next album.
Yes.
There is so the way, at least I interpreted it, as the album's kind of concept album, so it's a collection of short stories.
Yeah.
Is it all kind of in the same universe, or all these characters are all in different places?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's all in the same. I think it's all just in our universe. I think the sense in which it's like a concept album is it's not a concept album in the sense that it tells like a linear connected story or something. I think the stories on the album all have they all at least touch on this similar theme, which gives the album its name. So when we were kicking around names for the album, we came across this fact. There's this botanical thing called serotiny, where some plants the seeds only blossom in the wake of like a terrible catastrophe, like a forest fire is the typical one, right? Where there's like some plants that will spread or bury their seeds or whatever, but then it's only when everything else like burns and dies that they grow. And we're like, oh, that's like deeply metaphorical or something. And I think all of the songs deal with characters who hit some sort of catastrophic transformation in their life that's like very painful to go through, and just sort of like utterly changes the landscape of who they are, what they like think they're doing with their time alive, but then results in some sort of growth or transformation that really could only come about through the deconstruction of what was there before.
Was this album prophetic in a way? The fact it came out in 2019 and...
Oh man, are you saying we jinxed it?
I'm just... Maybe you're to blame for the pandemic is what I'm implying there. But so, as I understand it, each character is really detailed. It's really like you craft it together as a short story before you write the song. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we have slightly different processes, and Laura's back in her seat now, so I think I'll let her talk about her crafting process, because I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, sorry, I broke a string, and so I had to leave. But so my process is a lot of free writing, just kind of stream of consciousness, and sometimes little characters will pop up in my free writes, and I'll write a lot about them, like way more than will ever end up in a song. But then eventually, after I've written about them enough times, you know, I'll set them down, I'll come back to them, I'll write about them more. Then eventually some kind of like meter will start to show up and some internal rhyme. And then I know that like it's time to add the rennet so that the song can coagulate like cheese.
Add the what?
The rennet.
Is that a cheese term?
It's a cheese term.
Cool.
So you see your songs as solid to the writing's liquidity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do these characters interact with each other, or are they standalone characters?
I would say, I mean, I think of them as mostly isolated and not knowing each other. I do think one thing that was kind of fun that ended up happening with the album is alternating narrative distance between these songs. So we would have a song like June, where the lead character June is recovering from a breakup but pretending she's totally fine. And then we follow it with the song Psalm, which is also about a breakup. And the character is just like very deep in it.
Yeah.
And just like levels of like, you know, what you as the listener can hear based on what the character themselves can understand about themselves.
That idea of distance of like how far into the character's head does the song live? Like some of them are, well, in fact, that last one we just played is very like first person. It's just like the feelings raw exactly as they are. Yeah, and then as Laura was saying, some of them have like a little bit of remove or something, usually when the characters aren't being honest with themselves about what's going on.
Is there any character that you're particularly a fan of? And then is there any song of a character that you actually don't like very much? So the song you quite like, but the character itself you're kind of against.
Well, I think the lady in Milkman is pretty unlikable.
Yeah, she's not a good person.
Yeah.
I mean, she thinks she is, and she is trying to be.
That just makes it worse.
Yeah. Her intentions maybe are good. I don't
Spoiler
know.
alert for a folk song, but at the end of Milkman is about a woman who falls in love with her milk delivery person.
Classic story.
Classic tale as old as time, and she denies this fact to herself though. She's just like, oh, I'm just so friendly. It's like no one else, pays attention to him or offers to, have him come in for a second and sit down. And I'm just doing this because I'm so nice and other goes from my heart. And then at the end, she traps him in her house and won't let him leave. So I don't like her.
It's a real psychotic turn at the end there.
Yeah.
But you like the song quite a lot, though, I'm assuming.
I think the song is a good song.
Is there any character though that is your favorite, or someone that you feel like you'd get along with?
Yeah, I feel like I'm always rooting for the characters in. There's a song called Corn King, where it kind of has two central characters. It's also like a super weird saga. It's maybe not clear what the characters are doing or who they are because it's written with quite a bit of distance. But it's like about a couple who are going through a bunch of different sort of phases of their time together, and I like them both, and I feel a lot of empathy for them, and then it like ends tragically. But I'm always rooting for it to like go well or something.
Do you
It's
get
like, it could have
sad as
gone
you're
well.
singing the end of the song?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. It's like sometimes if I'm super in it, I like get sad or feel it. Although the thing happens too where if you've written a song so long ago, it sort of starts to feel like a cover. And I think those songs we recorded. The album came out in 2019, but all the songs are even older than that, obviously. So I'm starting to feel like pretty, like not like emotionally bound up in the subject matter of the songs, just because like a very different person lived through the stuff that inspired them.
Because you guys started in 2013, right?
Yeah, we've been playing together forever.
Yeah, so that's a decade. Have you got any way you're celebrating your 10-year anniversary?
Man.
Yeah.
Actually, thanks for bringing that up. That's a good idea. We're not really good at like birthdays or like, I don't know, what
We should
other
do
yearly
something.
things. Maybe we'll throw a little party.
Maybe we'll release a new album.
We'll get to that part in a minute. Next, I'd love to hear a song, though. So what have you got for us?
Sure, yeah. This is actually, we thought this would be a nice, fun, safe space to play a brand new song that we just finished arranging, last week? actually
Yeah.
have to get into tuning, so if you want to talk a little
Yeah,
bit
for sure.
about it.
Yeah, we haven't played the song for anyone yet. So this is a new one. This is one of Laura's songs, one of the many songs that she managed to put together, or of course the last couple years. The song is about killing ants that come into your house, and feeling morally conflicted about it.
I meant for that to be like the start off point and kind of like the metaphor that you then progress from. And then it just turned out that the entire song is about ants.
Also, this is, again, prophetic. Myself and my partner Annie is having that exact problem
Oh my
as we
gosh.
speak. And these ants are huge.
Yeah.
You could ride them. Which makes it kind of even more morally conflicting in a way to kill them because, you can almost see their features.
You
Well,
better not listen to this song.
This song might hit a little close to home.
Okay, well, all right. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow morning as I'm making my coffee and killing the first of the ants of the day.
Oh my gosh.
It's called Landfills, Gardens, Nurseries.
Every spring I kill the ants inside my house. I do it casually. There are too many ants for me. It isn't peaceful. Get them out. I mix it up with sugar. They'll take anything. It happens slowly, so they can bring it to their nest. A Judas kiss, they give it to each other. Highways underground. The city sickens. Survivors in the house, exchanging poison. To trap her in the glass. Don't feed her anything. She will metabolize her fat and wings. She doesn't need them, let her fast. It may be a month before she feels at home. Keep her alone in there. If she dies, don't despair, you know you'll catch another. Curious to see underneath, for science pouring 20,000 pounds of concrete, so we can see their landfills, gardens, nurseries, landfills, gardens, nurseries, landfills, gardens, nurseries.
All right, there, Cricket Blue with Landfills, Gardens, Nurseries. That was pretty much just a how-to guide to commit genocide. Going through it, I was because we're going to plan to eventually try and kill all the ants that are coming into our kitchen. But so far we've just been killing one or two, and now I'm genuinely morally conflicted about whether or not I try and kill the rest of them, like in a
Well, then our
chemical
work
attack.
here is done.
All we want is for you to feel morally conflicted.
Did this song come about because you had this same issue in your kitchen?
Yeah, so, I mean, every spring in my Burlington apartment where I now do not live. But when I lived in Burlington, I had an ant infestation that came around every March. And the same thing would happen every year where, they would all hatch or whatever. They would appear from wherever they were. And I would try, really hard to not kill them. And then they would just get like more and more and more and more. And then eventually I would kill them. And so I feel like that's maybe the worst possible scenario. But so that was happening. And it was one of those things where like there was a song loose in the room. It was like haunting my printer. My printer was like making all these noises. I was like, okay, there's a song in here that I've got to capture. And so that's what came out. And then the second verse is just basically ripped off from several YouTube videos about ants.
Yeah.
I'm curious about you saying a song haunting your room and affecting your printer. Is this how songs usually come about? Is there a spectre of them in the corner of rooms, and you're like, I need to exorcise this demon?
I mean, not every time, and it's not a bad thing for a song to be around. One time I had like a cork pop out of a bottle, and I thought I was gonna get a song out of that, but it turned out that I just got like a weird nursery rhyme. Tongue twister. It was a tongue twister.
Happens to the best of us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you, at least for this album or for some of your new songs, you're not following the same methodology as you did for the first album. So this time around, how have you gone about writing? And obviously you did a lot during COVID, Laura. So yeah, tell us about how this album's come together and how you've kind of came upon these songs.
Yeah, well,
I guess one way in which the process has changed is I feel like over the whole time that we've been a band, we've slowly been moving closer to truly co-writing things. Like at first, we...
Really slowly.
Very, very slowly over the course of this decade, now that we've been working together. We would just write songs separately and bring them to the person and be like, I hope you like this because this is the song. And then, we moved into a phase where we would give each other little notes or suggest things. But, and then we were doing some of that for the Serotinalia era stuff. But, yeah, for the recent things that we've been sending back and forth, I feel like there's just a lot more. There's still sort of a person who owns the song and who sort of first came up with the vision. But a lot of, like, revising together, calling you and being like, I was thinking about this line and, like, what if we did this other thing instead? And then you being like, productive.
Has it been difficult to let go of an ownership of a song? Is that why it's taken a long time? Because are you a bit possessive of the songs you've written in the past?
Well, one thing that we have changed is we submit a song to each other before we feel like it's really congealed, I guess you could say. Like we give each other a first draft of a thing, and so we try to give it to each other before we feel very precious about it.
I think that's the trick. It's like, don't let yourself become attached before the other person's eyes get to see it. Yeah.
Is there ever been a song where you're like, it's too late, I've written it and I already love it, it's fantastic, don't you dare touch a single hair on its head?
I mean, I feel like sometimes something that happens is I'll have written a song a while back, and then Taylor will come to revisions, and he'll make suggestions, and I'll be like, thank you for your suggestions, and then I'll keep the song like it is.
I also think a thing that happens sometimes is you'll get attached to my songs before I do.
Oh, that's so true.
So, like, I'll have written a song, and we'll have been working on it for a while, and then I'll be like, I think we should change this thing, or like, I like this better, and Laura's like, no, it's already it's already itself.
On Serotinalia, Taylor was changing the words to songs we had been playing for years.
Yeah, because I thought of better words.
Are your writing processes different? Because it sounds like you're calling each other up and being like, all right, I've sent you something over. So it sounds like you write something in kind of isolation of each other before you bring it towards each other. So yeah, how do you both go about writing a song if you got a process?
My process is pretty similar. The free writing, the characters, the coming up with a guitar part kind of independently, and then once I feel like a character is kind of developed enough and my guitar part is developed enough, I stick them together and see if they bond.
Yeah, mine is way less, I don't know, formed or in stone or something. Lately, what I've been doing a lot is it's kind of like free writing. I've been just scribbling loads of lyrics. I sort of already think of them as lyrics. They're like in meter or whatever, but without my guitar, without any music, and sort of getting words first, and then going back and writing music that sort of feels the way that the words feel to me. But sometimes it goes the other way. Sometimes I'll fiddle around on my guitar and get a melody and have a melody or a progression or whatever forever before I know what words go with it. And then sometimes, in those rare occasions, it all comes at once and you're like, oh yeah, that's just so. That just goes just like that.
Is that the waking up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat kind of?
Yeah. So there actually is a song that's going to be on the new album, or maybe we'll put it out before. I don't know. Where it's like it came to me in a dream. The melody did, and then I had to sort of flesh it out a lot. I kind of often hear music in my dreams, and usually when I wake up, I either can't remember it or I remember it, but like it's not good. It's like in the dream it was really good and emotional. And I'm like, it went like this, and then in the real waking world, it's just not interesting. But this one I thought was pretty cool, and then I took it from there.
This is the one that you told me like was a Phoebe Bridgers song.
Yes, so
in your dream?
full disclosure, it was Dream Phoebe Bridgers singing it. So I feel like she should get some credit. Although when I played it for Laura, you were like, that doesn't sound like a Phoebe Bridgers song. And I was like, it sounds so much like a Phoebe Bridgers song. But you didn't hear, which I guess is good in a way or something, because it means I didn't rip off some specific song. But
Yeah, he didn't.
It's sad, but I come up with political campaigns sometimes in my sleep and wake up and write them down and then wake up in the morning and see they're terrible. Sometimes they're good, but
Oh, wow.
often they're terrible.
It's important work.
I saw something today, and I know you get the comparison of Simon and Garfunkel all the time that you probably want to scream when anyone mentions their names.
It's an honor.
That's good. I found out today that Simon, his method for writing was to sit in a bathroom with the lights off and the taps on, which is where the song Sound of Silence came from. Because the sound of silence for him was the taps running well in a dark bathroom.
I love that. I actually I was in a group of women songwriters mostly whom I haven't met. And we were just submitting songs every day. For the first 10 days of January, we submitted a song. And I did find that, like, I don't know, something about having electric lights not be on is like a totally different experience for songwriting. And but I've never sat in a bathroom with the faucet on. That is a really interesting idea.
I was not sure how you'd actually write it without either getting your phone out and then that would ruin it because all the electric lights, or if you're writing it in the dark
gotta go analog,
pen and paper, I mean.
Just by feel, right?
Yeah. It'd look like a mess if I did that, so... But anyway, I digress. I very much want to hear more about the album coming together, but I'm looking at the time and we need to listen to another song, so we'll get to that after this next one.
Well, we can sort of two birds, one scone here, because we're going to play a song from the new album. So in a way, you're learning more about the new album right now.
I forgot you're not on guitar.
Laura plays this one all by herself. I just add a little bit of...
just because Taylor hasn't written a guitar part yet.
Garfunkel on top.
So it's going to be on the album, or okay, all right. You know, adding your guitar part after the album's created.
No, we haven't recorded it yet. I guess we're just unclear whether I'm going to add a guitar part at all, because maybe you can tell us afterwards if you feel like it needs it.
I feel like I don't have the qualifications for this, but I'll give you my uninformed opinion.
Great.
All right, this is a song called Hare.
That's Hare.
Oh, thank you. Good idea.
Hare, are you sleeping there where I found you head on the shoulder when I return home? Let me come closer, let me admire the stretch of your body on the stretch of the road. Something's come and taken your eyes. Can you rest better if it isn't so bright? Was it an honor or was it a violence? Here come the flowers set in abundance, hundreds of blossoms, but all ripe at once. Death of your hunger, death of desire, but all this continues around without want. And every time I look, you're still there. Will there be a moment that you disappear? Each day your body a little less here. Manic and anxious for something to eat. Hold up their worry against all your stillness. Isn't there some way to be in between? And every time I look, you're still there. Will there be a moment that you disappear? Awful obsession, a resolute cheer. Isn't there some way to honor you here? Isn't there still some here?
Cricket Blue there with Hare from their upcoming new album. So, first of all, do you want to talk to me about the song a little bit? We're talking, obviously, the hare with their ears, and sounds like hanging out near one of your places.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hare with the ears. I wrote this song. A friend of mine named Rosalie died, and she had a long, full life, but I was thinking about the physicality of death and what happens with your body. And in that time of grief, there was this rabbit that got hit by a car and basically ended up right at the top of my driveway. And every time I went running, I just saw the hare every day, and every day the hare was a little bit less there.
Yep.
And so it was just making me think of Rosalie.
Mm. So this one is going to be on the new album. It sounds like you've been very prolific in the last few years writing, and it sounds like, Taylor, you have caught up at this point, or close to.
I think we're about even in terms of material that's going to go on the album.
But who's keeping track, of course.
But who's keeping track?
Yeah. So was it difficult to whittle down the songs you've written to I'm guessing to 10 to 12 different tracks, and how did you go about doing it?
Yeah,
we're still whittling.
10 to 12.
Yeah, it might be a little longer than that, unless
really?
we can whittle it down further.
I think we're working on 16.
Yeah,
fairly long for an album.
Yeah.
probably so.
But in the digital age, I mean, what is an
Right.
album?
What's an album?
So,
Yeah. What is the concept of an album is a good point. You could just put out every track that you've come up with in the last few years on that basis.
it's true. And we might just throw out a few by throw out, I mean, put on Spotify and Apple Music a few singles that
Things that aren't going to make the cut, but that we still want to put out. We might do that first.
that
sort of on a-
thematically don't make the cut.
Yeah.
So there is a theme to this one.
I mean, it's
Can
a
you
lot
guess the
about-
theme from the
yeah.
two songs we've played so far?
I would
feel like that's
would
an unfair
hazard a
question.
guess and say it might be about death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
First
good.
try.
Stab in the dark
He's
on this
good.
one. Morbid, beautiful at the same time. Yeah. Well, why death? I guess.
Yeah. Well, we've both been thinking a lot about it. And
I think everyone's thought a lot more about it.
yeah. I think what sort of was interesting to me about the sort of early conversations we had about going in this direction was not just that, like, yeah, death is like a very, very important thing to think about as a human being, and there's a lot to say and feel about it. But what hooked me on, like, this is a good idea and this isn't just, morbid or something for us to do, is that Laura and I kind of have a lot of different ideas about death. And so I think the album is going to be structured somewhat like a conversation. Or there's like a meta conversation going on between this, like the songs are just about what they're about. But the thing that is also happening is like Laura's feelings and views and my feelings and views in conversation with each other over top of the object level stuff in the songs. And I thought that was fun.
Was that why it was important kind of a balance in the album of how many tracks each person got?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it.
Do you draw a conclusion? Is there a kind of a final song where
Well,
you
that
meet
16th track.
That's the one
That's
that we
the one we
haven't
haven't
finished.
written.
So we'll let you know if we solve it.
It's like the
And we can let everyone know, here's the definitive take.
it's like the periodic table, knowing that there's an element out there but not discovering it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really right. There has to be something at the end. I mean,
But at
think
the same time, that all we want you is to feel morally conflicted.
yeah.
That's the takeaway from the album is to send everyone into an existential crisis.
Yeah.
With like hope in different places, maybe. Like I think Taylor and I find hope in different places.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm definitely not trying to like write songs that just bum people out or something, right? I don't know. I think addressing stuff that is hard and difficult and thorny, but also just like affects every person, can make people feel like less alone or connected to each other, right?
It's almost what religion has been.
Among many things, I do think that is a role that it plays. Yeah. So, So I don't know. I hope that we're not. I don't think we're just making like a sad album. Like I think it's going to be kind of thorny, but hopefully, yeah, with a lot of hope. And like
Some real
songs in
sweet
major
tracks,
keys and stuff.
right?
Yeah, like really sweet things.
I
Yeah.
told Taylor we were playing this song yesterday. I was like, "This is so sweet. They're gonna start playing it at graduations."
That is what you said.
It's not true. It's too weird.
Both the songs you played so far, Landfill, Garden, Nurseries, and Hare, obviously they're about death, but they're somewhat removed in a way. It's kind of more about, I guess, the way that you're viewing it in that moment, but it's also about two animals on like a surface level. Yeah. Is that the case throughout the album, or are you ever kind of very, very direct and very succinct about, okay, this is very specifically about my interpretation of death? Or are you always is there always a layer before that which kind of couches it and it's like, or it's just about killing ants in your kitchen,
I wrote a song that's pretty direct. There's like one on there that's just.
I mean,
Yeah.
and then there are parts of many songs that I would say are quite direct and maybe more personal than some of the stuff that we've done before. But there's still a lot of character writing. I think we just happen to play 2 songs about animals, but I don't think there are any other songs about animals.
I think that's right. And there are also songs that are like way, way less close to the subject matter of death. There's sort of like an interesting angle on it, but it you know, sort of only tangentially does death itself come up in the song. Yeah, and then there's some that are a lot more specific and sort of unadorned or something. Yeah.
It sounds like you both have a fairly healthy view on death and have thought about these bigger, thornier issues and can write without kind of going into some kind of a morose place. But did once you started realizing what this theme would be, were you writing knowing that death was going to be something you'd be writing in mind, and did that affect your behavior in the rest of your life at all?
Oh, interesting.
I guess most of the time I feel like I can't choose the songs that I'm writing, and I don't know if you feel that way, Taylor.
Yeah, I think that is how I feel. I think what it actually just did is it made us curate the track list for the album in a different way. Like there are songs that we've both written that we were just like, well, this doesn't kind of fit. This isn't touching on the thing, so it's not going to make the cut, even if we like the songs. And we might put them out, as we said. But yeah, I don't think I really have the ability to be like, I have to write a song. Well, although we've sort of set this problem for ourselves because we're like, there does have to be a last song on the album, that sort of periodic table missing element, as you were mentioning. Maybe that's why it's taking so long, is because we're doing it wrong. We like decided it should exist before it existed, and that's just a fool's errand. I don't know.
When are you guys getting into the studio?
That's a good question.
It's a good
We
question.
have a loose goal to have everything recorded by July,
Yeah, so
which is a really lofty goal.
but that's the rough sort of time frame. Yeah,
All right, that's not too. July's a nice month to record in, I'm sure.
absolutely.
And you have also got a few gigs coming up as well. So you have been gigging throughout this time, like post 2020, obviously 2021 onwards. You've been gigging around, and then you got 3 coming up in the very near future, right?
That's right. We're at Shelburne Vineyard on Tuesday, Valentine's Day.
Nice.
We won't play all the sad songs, we promise. If you want to come, well, okay. Laura's looking at me like I can't make that promise. We'll make it.
Play
We'll make
some
it a
of the
good
sad
Valentine's Day
songs.
show. And then we're playing. Where else we do? The 23rd at Cabot.
Oh yeah,
Right?
at the Cabot Folk Club.
Yeah.
Oh, because it said unknown venue on your
Unknown
website.
venue,
I was like,
indeed.
very mysterious for Cabot.
Yes. Songkick doesn't know what that is, I guess, or whatever we use to
Yeah.
put the shows
To
up.
populate the website.
Uh,
Yeah, there is an actual building where it takes place.
There is.
Yeah.
Um,
And you can find out more on the Cabot Arts website, or if you click into our website too. And then we're also playing in Glens Falls, New York on March
9th?
9th. I was thinking 9th too.
That's promising then.
Yeah.
We would love it if you came to the Glens Falls show because we don't know anyone out in Glens Falls really. So if you're listening to this and
I played there one time like 9 years ago.
Yes, it's been a long time since we've been out there. And they've forgotten all about us. So if you're listening and you want to go out to Glens Falls, or you know people who live out that way, March 9th, Cricket Blue, songs about death.
Have any of those the summer gigs started popping up in your email inbox yet? In terms of, everyone must be planning already for like the spring, summer months where you can actually play outdoors. Have you got any of those dates kind of fixed or holding off on them until?
I think
Yeah,
everything,
finalized.
nothing is confirmed.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can talk about at the moment.
No,
I
right.
think that's right.
Well, I do look forward to seeing you at some point. Probably not Glens Falls, if I'm honest with you.
That's so
Bit of
reasonable.
a trek for a Thursday. Well, we've got about time for one more song, so what have we got to play us out with?
We're doing oldie for us. This is a sort of the first song on Serotinalia. There's a little intro, and then there's this song. This is called Alicia from the Store, and it's about working at a grocery store as a summer job and meeting and the people you meet there. It's about that weird like thing where you're in college and you work a summer job and you like spend all day in like intense circumstances sometimes with a really specific set of people, your coworkers, and you sort of just know like, and then I'll never see you again. Because we're on different life trajectories. We've just been brought together by capitalism for this like brief moment in time. So yeah, the narrator meets a woman named Alicia. This is a song about her.
if you keep it inside? Does it feel at home? Does a body worry with the shade up to the cars outside if you keep it in? Ooh, Alicia tells me men are dogs while we mop the floor. I see her get into their cars when her register is closed. Her mouth is brown with lipstick, her hair is soft and smells like smoke. We put the produce out while it's hard and green. Alicia bags the old fruit up, juice running in her sleeve. I ask her where it goes. I like the way the ripe fruit smells. It seems impossible. The green fruit's all that sells. In the parking lot, I find her talking to a little stray. Cigarette break by the dumpster. Fruit flies landing on her face. Fruit flies landing on her. Alicia tells me men are dogs the way they talk to her. Sometimes their eyes have felt like hands, slipping fingers in my collar. She asks me where I go and then how much my parents pay. It seems impossible how much gets thrown away. Will I know her this, Alicia, when the summer's at an end? Won't I find a better place and never see this girl again? Anyway, this brave Alicia walks straight past the hound dog's bay and asks me what I think becomes of all the food we throw away. Asks me, does a body worry if you keep it inside? Does it feel at home? Can a body survive? Will you take it to the cellar? The bones and the tether, lay the bones of the dog and the body together. Does the body worry if you keep it in?
All right, Cricket Blue playing Alicia from the store to play us out. Guys, thank you so much for coming back in.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for having us. It's been really fun.
Yeah, this was a pleasure.
Don't wait 5 years next time to come back in again. We'd really like to have you back in when you get this record finally done. So probably will be about 5 years actually from the
There you
sounds
go.
of the timeline. But yeah, thanks once again for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Well, that's all we've got time for. Join us next week when we've got the Constables coming in. But for now, this has been WOMLP operating out of Burlington, 105.9 The Radiator. It's been The Rocket Shop. I've been your host, Tom Proctor, and good night.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
You were such a well